God damn it. I thought I could I thought I had at least some type of taste.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Geeked Out. My name is Kyle.
My name is Juan.
Now, does that introduction have anything to do with the movie that we decided to watch this week?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, let's get into it then. This week we decided to go back to our childhood, and I would like to iterate. This was Juan's suggestion, 1,000%. We went back and we watched Disney's The Big Green.
I can't even. I have to take all this, man. I gotta take all the shade I'm about to get, man, and shade I'm about to give this movie.
You know what though? I was just as excited to watch it when you suggested it as you were when you suggested it. So it was your suggestion, but I was just as excited. As unfortunate as that is.
Yeah, because I've gone back and rewatched quite a few films of my childhood, and for the most part, I came back, with pretty much not the same enjoyment as a kid, obviously, but I still came out of it, enjoying it for the most part. This one, however, is the exact opposite.
Yeah, I agree. This one was pretty rough.
This was rough. This was rough like goddamn steel wool.
I don't remember it being. I don't remember this movie being this bad.
Me neither.
But
me neither, man. And then I started digging and realized nobody likes this movie like that.
No. But before we dig into the actual film, I want to let everybody know this movie was originally released on September 29th of 1995. It has a 5.5 out of 10 rating on IMDb. It has, are you ready for this? A critic score on Rotten Tomatoes of 0.
Yeah, I seen
0.
That after. I went right into Rotten Tomatoes after the film, after my rewatch, and damn. Because honestly, I remember watching this, and I remember watching a lot of the classic sports movies of the 90s. And for some reason, I like this one above most of them. And before my rewatch, I used to say that The Big Green was better than The Sandlot. And I don't know what the fuck I was thinking about, man.
I was gonna say when you said that when you said that to me during, I forget if it was during our last episode or after we had finished recording or whatever it was, you had said you preferred this movie to The Sandlot, and I damn near had a stroke.
God damn, because I was a kid, man. My kid brain liked that The Big Green more for some reason, because my kid brain apparently doesn't care about plot or character development.
And this movie has two actors who were in both this and The Sandlot.
Which is probably the main reason why they're in this movie to begin with.
I would think so. But yeah, so this had a 0% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's terrible.
And yet it had a 46% audience score.
Because they were all fucking kids like me who
They must have been.
Those are pity percentage points, man. Ugh. This movie just left a bad taste in my mouth, man, and I am upset.
Well, we'll continue on. Just giving off the stats real quick. This movie starred Steve Guttenberg, Olivia d'Abo, J.O. Sanders, Patrick Renna, and a bunch of others who I don't think not deserve, but I don't think need to be discussed because this movie is just a whole bunch of nothing.
And honestly, when it comes to the actors, with
not
my
good.
rants,
not good.
But that isn't the reason why I dislike this movie. It's not really, for the most part, it's not even the acting really. That's probably taking a backseat to everything else to me. Because when it comes to kids movies, a lot of the acting isn't the greatest. So I thought it was at least on par with those, with the with the acting and actors. It was just everything else. It's terrible. Was way worse to me. That stood out way worse to where I'm going to talk about that more than the acting side of it.
The whole idea of like, I'm still in awe that a movie like this got made, and even us as kids were fans of it. Like, I owned this fucking movie.
Oh yeah, this was on rotation for me.
I had that fucking Disney clamshell case of this movie.
Yeah, that clamshell case, that was great until it like bent the plastic. Then you could never close it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was on heavy rotation for me, and when it comes to like sports movies, I think it got made just because this movie is literally a lot of the cliches in most of these movies just done in the absolute worst type of execution I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
To give everybody listening a basic understanding as to how hollow this movie is.
Yeah.
Basically, the story of this movie is a teacher, an exchange teacher from England. Number one, I've never heard of an exchange teacher. I've heard of exchange students. But an exchange teacher from England is placed in an underachieving school in a small town in Texas and decides to use soccer to bring the children together and help boost their personal self-esteem. The end. In other words, she can't get the fucking kids to listen, so she goes, here, go kick this fucking ball around. That's what I took from this.
When put on paper, it's a movie that could work. It could. It's just again, who was the director?
I honestly don't even know. Hang on a second.
Well, I mean, they shouldn't be mentioned, but for the sake of the review, we're going to.
The writer and director is someone named Holly Goldberg Sloan. Okay. Oh my God! Hold on a second. She wrote Angels in the Outfield.
Oh, okay, dang. Okay, all right. She had a hitter there.
This is her only. This is her only directed.
I can't even say that. I'm gonna have to rewatch Angels in the Outfield now. I'm gonna have to rewatch that movie.
That one's fucking crazy too.
Because her credibility is now up for contention with me. Because I love Angels in the Outfield, but
that movie's fucking batshit.
That might be another situation where I might not like it as much. But anyways,
you know what? Hold on a second. You know what Angels in the Outfield could be looked at as? Sorry, that movie could be looked at as a film with a group of such talented actors so early in their careers. Mm-hmm. Because if you remember who was in that movie, your mind will be blown.
Mm-hmm. I remember who was in the movie, just because I think we've discussed this before. But yeah.
Yeah, I meant you and I know, but I'm just saying the general public. If you look into that movie and see who was in it in the early 90s and what they ended up going on to do in their careers, unreal.
Yeah, it's really a stacked cast, but you just didn't know it then.
And then this movie is the exact opposite of a stacked cast. Steve Guttenberg is the only real character in the movie that I actually enjoy, and it's because a lot of that is because of my enjoyment of Steve Guttenberg from other movies and knowing what he can do and what he's capable of.
And well, there's some of the kid actors I liked only because I liked them in other things.
That's what I was saying. I liked them in other movies.
But in this movie, it wasn't that I didn't like them. I just liked them more in other things, and they were kind of just there. But they weren't bad. The actors that I enjoyed in this movie,
Well,
besides
here's what I'll say. Out of the kid actors, the one that I will always go to is Patrick Renna, who plays the goalie, who's anybody who's seen it will know as Ham from The Sandlot. The best part about him as a kid actor when he was in these movies is in The Sandlot when he's doing all that chirping as the catcher. You put him in this movie as the goalie and there's nobody around him, he has nothing to do. It takes all of his appeal and drops it to zero.
And I think that's a detriment on the director. I think none of these actors had any direction, which that's why they gave the performance that they gave, is because they probably weren't given much direction.
Yeah, because even in this movie, like the parts where he is enjoyable is when he is kind of making quippy little comments, whether it be when he's making fun of Steve Guttenberg or any of the other of his classmates. Like that's when he's good.
For sure. And probably my most nostalgic part of this movie involves him exclusively. So yeah. He's definitely one of the most enjoyable parts of this movie is kind of just him doing his thing.
The other, like, out of all the kid actors, there's really only that I recognize. There was only 4 of them that I can even think of that I've ever seen in anything else.
I got 3.
Okay, who are your 3?
Who you just mentioned?
So Patrick Renna.
Yeah, what was his name? Bug Hall?
Yep, Bug Hall Alfalfa.
Which he was good. I liked him in this movie.
I liked him in this movie because he's the little kid who's kind of just supposed to be cute.
You're supposed to be a little kid, and he played the part well.
Yeah,
in my opinion, and you could tell if given more, he could have delivered. I think he was a pretty strong kid actor, probably one of the strongest in that cast for sure.
But because he wasn't in their quote unquote their class, he didn't have much to do because he was just a little kid added to the team later.
Exactly. But still,
and I'm guessing your third is Squints.
Is it the glasses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kid who plays Squints in The Sandlot, whose real name is Chauncey Leopardi, or Leopardi.
Okay.
Yes, I've listened to another podcast where they discuss The Sandlot, and when they mentioned that his real name is Chauncey, I was like, "Yep, never gonna forget that little tidbit of knowledge."
I'll never forget it because the only other Chauncey I know was it Chauncey Billups from the Detroit Pistons?
And now NBA Hall of Famer, just inducted this past weekend, or announced that he'll be going in.
Well deserved, for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, those are only 2 Chaunceys I'll ever know, probably. So yeah, I'll never forget that.
Yeah. Yeah, the only other kid that I recognized is he's one of the main 4 boys are those 2. Then there's a blonde kid who I don't know.
Oh.
And the kid with the long dark hair, his name is Billy L. Sullivan. I know him from Little Big League.
He was in something. I know I seen him before. I couldn't place it. I know I seen him in something.
See, I knew him from Little Big League because that was another one of my kids' sports movies from the 90s that I loved.
I might have seen it, but I just know I recognize him from something. It could be that. But I definitely seen him in something before.
Well, that's another wild one. Fucking 11 or 12-year-old inherits the Minnesota Twins.
Okay, that's probably what I've seen him from. Unless he was in like a Goosebump episode or Are You Afraid of the Dark episode or something.
Oh, I'm sure he was in something like that.
Yeah. Because Little Big League, I want to say I've seen it, but I can't be for sure.
See, and that's a movie that I love. I could watch that. I'm pretty sure I would still enjoy that because, although I don't know. I mean, after watching this, I'm starting to kind of second guess
right?
any of these movies we watched as kids.
This movie has made me second guess every single childhood movie I've ever liked.
Well, now I'm terrified. Like, I'm terrified to go. I'm terrified to go back and watch something like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or.
No, that one I've seen that one recently. That one still hits, man. There's some stuff obviously because it was like the early 90s, late 80s that, I don't think you could probably get away with. I'm pretty sure, but overall it kind of still holds up, to be honest. That one's safe.
So then it would be like the Goonies and Gremlins, which definitely both hold up.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's right. Yeah, it definitely holds up with those movies.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, so you want to maybe we can just quickly run through the goings on of this movie because
Can we start with like almost the beginning when we're first introduced to these?
Oh, when they're allowing themselves to be attacked by fucking pigeons.
Dude, I thought that was so cool when I was a kid.
Ugh. First of all,
I thought it was the coolest thing. I was like, I wish I had some friends that would do that. Let's do that. I see that now, and
disgusting,
disgusting, terrifying, all wrapped up into one, man.
Well, number one
is nah. I would never do that.
So number one, I have a problem. I have a bit of a phobia with birds. So number one, there's no fucking way I would ever do that. But when I turn this movie on, and it shows that's how it starts, all I could think of was, how boring is this town? And then apparently when you see these kids in class, there's like 10 or 11 of them. It's like, does that mean that there's only 10 or 11 kids in this whole town?
That's because what I'm saying.
They even say to the teacher,
around the same age.
Well, they even say to the teacher because she comes and saves them and spray because they dump Cheetos all over themselves to attract the birds, and she shows up thinking they're being attacked and sprays them. When she introduces herself as the new teacher, the kids go, "What? Well, there's two classes: big kids and little kids." I'm like, hold on a second. That's not how school works.
Wait a minute. So there's no like grade 1, 2, 3, 4.
Nope, big and little.
Cool. Which is like, okay. Not a whole lot of people are kids in this town.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. But in America? Okay.
Not just America, in fucking Texas.
Something that you definitely wouldn't care about as a kid, but seeing as adult, that's definitely a problem.
Yeah, I don't know, when they said that there's only the two classes in the school, I went, you kids should just be homeschooled then. Like, this is, there's no point to even have a school.
Right?
And I got to know what happened, because Steve Guttenberg keeps talking about how when he was growing up in this town in high school, they won like a football state championship. How do you feel? How many did the kids from his generation just not have children? Like, where is everybody in this town?
Exactly.
I know that they referenced something
about
Where
are the other children?
Well, I know they referenced something about like a plant being closed, and like that can obviously affect these small towns and drive people out, but I mean,
even just when they're in school, you don't see any other children. Where's the where are they supposed to be in the big class?
Yeah, because Bug Hall, who plays Newt, he's in the little kids.
Did we see the little kids class at all? Did we see
No.
any little kids?
You just see him.
Interesting. Yeah. No. Like what? What?
And this,
yeah, that's a problem. I mean, that's not how Texas works, I don't think. Even in the smallest of towns of Texas.
I don't think that's how anywhere works.
No. No. Because they would get like they would get transferred to like a school with
and you get bussed in, yeah.
Children. Right? Yeah, you get bussed in. You just wouldn't have a whole ass school for 10 students.
Yeah, they've made movies about it. They've made a great movie about it called Sister Act fucking 2. Where they're going to close the school and start busing the kids. That's the whole point of that movie.
Mm-hmm. But, okay. We're supposed to just accept that this is how Texas works in this world, I guess.
I mean, I will say this movie gets started right off the bat. Because, like, within 10, 15 minutes, the teacher is already showing them what soccer is. She's got them running around in a field chasing a ball, and she immediately goes, yeah, I made a phone call and got us in a league. And our first game is tomorrow. It's like...
Wait a minute.
These kids don't know positions. They don't know how to play the game.
Yeah. Aren't you supposed to have permission?
Oh, so you have no permission slips? This is your first day on the job.
I feel like the parent should have signed something. If, a teacher's
signed something,
them.
Signed something, got a phone call, something. Where they give, like you say, that permission to be like, yeah, it's okay. And especially because she goes, our first game is in Austin, which is however far away from where they are. It's like, you're now going to take these kids to a different town.
You're going to bust them.
No, they don't bust them. They put them in their own fucking cars.
Oh, yeah.
And they bring a goat.
Oh, yeah, that's the mascot.
Oh, God, this movie.
Was this movie, like, made by a child? Because it feels like it's... I don't know, but... like it was written... If it was written and directed by a child, I would forgive this movie. Because it kind of feels like that.
Well, and even like, watching it, the
person does not know how things work.
The editing is so weird in this movie. It's for a lot of the movie, it just seems like random scenes are cut together with no flow to them.
Yeah. Scenes that we should have got that, would have built on the characters or at least explained the kids. Give us some type of backstory. You could have used some of that. But no, we're just going to go do random scenes that don't really have anything really to do with the plot of this movie. We're just going to inject them in here and you're welcome.
Well, it's even like, so once they form this team, I guess, and they go to play their first game, and this is when you get to meet J.O. Sanders, who is the rival coach, who was in the Angels in the Outfield, oddly enough.
Yeah.
Mentioned that earlier.
So you like he played, he called the plays, right? He was the commentator?
Yeah, he was the commentator.
Yeah.
When you get to meet him, he basically just says, like, it's kind of alluded that him and Steve Guttenberg, I don't know if they went to high school together or like they played against each other in high school or something like that.
I think they were on the same team.
And then it's literally like, I got out as fast as I could. Moving on. And then he just immediately starts hitting on the teacher.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the rival coach bad guy, and like there's nothing really underneath the surface there. He's just, here's your villain.
There's nothing under the surface of any of these characters.
No.
There's So there's the teacher who is she's a British woman. She's a very attractive woman, but the whole thing is she's in the movie to teach the kids soccer. Steve Guttenberg is in the movie to try and fuck the teacher.
And which is funny because at some point in this movie, even though she is the expert in soccer, she has the experience in soccer and knows how to play soccer. For some reason, Steve, is it Guttenberg? That's his last name?
Yeah.
Ends up being like the main coach of the team?
Yeah. Because I guarantee it's because he's the bigger star, or was the bigger star.
Exactly.
So he's more recognizable.
I was like, wait a minute, shouldn't she be behind the wheel on this thing? Like, it was her idea. She's the one that put him in the tournament. She should be the one coaching them.
They're immediately like, we're co-coaches. No. She is the coach. You are the guy that is following her because you're watching her ass.
Pretty much.
You know nothing.
And it sucks. Because, it's a product of its time.
And absolutely, because it's the 90s and women weren't allowed to do things like that, apparently, in movies.
Oh. And if they would have just tweaked this movie majorly in certain ways, especially, making her the forefront coach, this movie could have been so much better, man, if you just would have actually tried a little bit harder. Yeah. It sucks because it was there. All the right ingredients was there, but the execution was just garbage. Yeah. And I blame the person behind the wheel, which was the director.
And I mean, even Steve Guttenberg's character, he is not a good person at all. Like when you watch this movie, he is constantly yelling and belittling these kids.
Pretty much.
He's constantly referring to them as midgets. As usual when we record these, I usually have the movie on mute on my TV. Oh, it's awful. But I usually have the movie on mute while we're recording, and I have it on right now. The scene where they're driving to their first game.
Oh.
The boys in the car, like, giving him a hard time or whatever. He literally starts reaching to the back seat and smacking these kids with his hat.
Yeah. Well, but it's not even right, and you should have a problem with that in his character in that scene. But the only thing I'm thinking in that scene is, why is this kid fucking screaming like this so annoyingly?
Yeah, they give him a hard time too.
Right now, I just want to skip this scene because this kid is one of the most annoying kids I've ever seen on screen.
They all are.
But I think that was just the direction that they were given.
Just be annoying. Yeah.
Which I can't blame on this one.
Think about that. Like, I know it was the 90s, it's a different time, the whole thing, but like, just a random, and he's a police officer, just a random fucking sheriff.
Not just a police officer.
He's the sheriff.
He's the only, it seems like the only person of authority in the whole town.
And he's fucking just hitting these kids in the back of his car.
And not only that, okay, it seems like you're the only person of authority in this town. Why are you leaving town?
Yeah. Because he wants to fuck the teacher.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
That's the only motivation he has this entire movie.
Pretty much.
Now, you mentioned something a little nonsensical earlier. I think I know where you're going for, and I'm pretty sure watching this scene right now, I just saw the first instance. Were you referring to the should we refer the visions that Larry the goalie sees?
Oh yeah, those are dude. That's the best part of this movie.
The best? Really?
I wouldn't say the best, but the most nostalgic part of this movie for me. It's one of the only
things you remember, yeah.
Vivid things I remember about this movie was these scenes. Even though I didn't remember the exact things that came after them, but I definitely remember these visions and some of the main adversaries.
Well, I didn't write a list of them, but from memory, I remember Knights, Terminators, Mummies, Buccaneers.
Yeah.
And there might have been more, but I don't remember.
Wasn't there like President No. I'm probably mixing mine up. I think there was one more. No, because no. It was when
he turns into
like
a combination of all. He's a combination of all of them.
Was that? Yeah, he was like a Native American George Washington person.
He was he ended up becoming a combination of all of them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So like he had like the Buccaneer coat, and he had like I think it was a sword, and then he had the Terminator sunglasses.
Weird wig. There might have been one more. Yeah, there might have been one more that we're forgetting. But yeah, no. Those, to me, yeah, that was the most memorable part of the movie growing up. Which, looking back, rewatching it, I just, I got nostalgic all over again from those moments in this movie. But, that would be the most enjoyable part that I had in this rewatch.
I will say one of the during this first game, one of the things I remembered very vividly, because I've said it before in my head, something from this movie, and it's Kate, who's the main girl on the team. She's the one who's pissed off at the world and that teen angst. The one kid's running down the field with the ball, and the teacher, I forget her name now, Anna, the teacher, she yells out, "Tackle him," which in football's terms in Europe, tackle him means to steal the ball from him. Well, in America, that's not what it means, and that's exactly what she says that, and Steve Guttenberg goes, "What? Don't say tackle him." She goes, "No, I mean get the ball away from him." And he goes, "Excuse me, does she know that?" And this girl just takes this kid out and slams him to the ground.
Yeah. She could tell that she definitely wanted to do that. Yeah. No, her character was whatever. It was like the great value version of the character from Little Giants to me.
Yeah, there's no real substance to anyone in this movie, I don't find, which is really unfortunate. And I mean,
no, because it's there. It's there if you actually thought about it and gave some effort into the writing. It's there, man. And they just didn't want to show you any of that at all. They just wanted to show you more wacky scenes involving kids.
Yeah.
Which sucks. Because there was some good potential storytelling there, especially with her father. His involvement in this movie, and it went nowhere.
Yeah.
It was like there was as soon as there's some type of conflict, it's resolved within within minutes, which is disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I remember as a kid watching this movie, and it kind of made me never want to play soccer because when they're trying to when they're teaching the kids how to play soccer after they get destroyed in their first game, the teacher says to them, in order to play soccer, you need to be able to run for an hour, for at least an hour. Mm-hmm. And I remember even as a kid just staring at the TV and my jaw just hit the floor.
I could see that. That part never bothered me.
And yet, that's not true. If you've ever watched... Well, but the whole thing is, like, if you ever watch soccer, the guys play football, whatever. They play positions. In this movie, the kids just chase the ball.
Pretty much.
Maybe that's why they need to run for an hour, because they never stop.
Yeah, their style of play is to just keep going, like an Energizer bunny.
Yeah, I don't know. And then, I mean, they start doing all this, the montages, I should say, of them training and trying to get better and this and that. And I do like the scene where they call out there, because they have a new classmate whose name is Juan, or Juwan as he's first announced, which I just kind of shook my head. I should call you Juwan.
Ugh. Trust me, I've been called that many, many a times.
Well, in that scene where the principal or whoever she is introduces him for the first time, I when I was doing my rewatch, I kind of laughed because I was like, I feel like that's how some Americans would pronounce it, because us being Canadian, like, we know, I'm sure you do just as well as I do, you know, people who have like kind of like a French accent on their names. But
mm-hmm.
a lot of Americans don't know how to pronounce that, so they just say it the way it's spelled, and that's not correct. So when the principal comes in and she introduces him as Juan Morales, I'm like, it's very clearly his name is Juan Morales. Like, that's not hard.
I guess if you're from Britain.
She's not from Britain. The principal says that. The woman from Texas.
The principal said that? Oh, great. I was not paying attention. Damn.
I'm like, and you're from Texas. Like,
you're from Texas. Mexico's right there, man. Mexico is right there. Don't you share a border with Mexico?
I feel like they use Spanish as a second language, like we use French. Like, how would you not know how to pronounce that name?
Unless it's her first day and she is from a foreign land too. I just don't see that happening. Realistically, I mean, like, come on.
You want to talk batshit in this movie? How about when Guttenberg has the kids drive his fucking squad car?
I think as a kid that was probably my favorite scene.
Well, yeah, because we were kids. We wanted to be the ones driving that car.
Exactly.
Now as an adult, I'm like, especially as an adult with kids of my own, I'm like, oh no.
Ain't a fucking chance that I don't care if I'm in an open field. No. I'm going to die. Like, this shit is going to get flipped over. And that's what happened. That's what would happen.
Well, it looked like it was gonna a few times.
For sure.
And of course, it was a typical 90s kids movie, because there's one scene, because obviously when they're in the car, and it's so funny because they're in the car and the kids and Steve Guttenberg are like leaning every which way, like the car's turning, and yet through the windows of the car it's just a white background. So, like, you didn't even try.
No. This movie didn't. No. Nope. Not a whole lot of trying in this movie.
The only person who tries in this movie is Juan when they play soccer.
For sure.
Because dude fucking grew up playing. He's fantastic.
Oh, he's killing it. But, because he is Mexican and he grew up in Mexico, he has to be.
It's a stereotype. Absolutely, it is.
The fucking ringer. Right? But, okay. I can go with that. I can go with that. That's not really as problematic in a 90s sports kids movie. I'll go with it. But it's the whole thing with him and his mom keeping him from joining the soccer team is one of the strangest things I've met in this movie, man. Like, I just don't understand her reasoning at all.
Well, when I was a kid, I didn't understand it because so when this movie came out in 95, I would have been 9. So I didn't understand the politics of citizenship and things like that. But that you find out later that's the issue, is that she is an illegal immigrant into the United States.
Well, that is the overarching reason. But the reason for him not joining the team,
that's why.
Well, when they have a conversation, they never mention that. It's what she says to him is she doesn't want him to join
because she wants him to come home after school.
Yeah, she doesn't want him to make friends.
And it's because she thinks that
they're
they
not
might have to
stay that long.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I just couldn't believe that would be a reason.
Well, and I think that's the reason why, is because it's almost like she's anticipating that they might have to leave at like the drop of a hat.
And okay, exactly. And if you would have kept that going throughout the movie and not have resolved it,
or even
so fast, I would have went along with it. It's just that conflict was resolved so fast that it didn't even matter.
Well, and even the whole thing of getting him to play is she's so adamant about, no, he's not going to play because I want him to come home. All it takes is the entire class goes to his mom's mobile home or trailer, whatever you want to call it, and they all just go, yeah, we'll take care of him. He'll be fine. And they all just yell, please, like 4 times. And then it's like, yep, he can go.
Exactly.
It's like, well, if you're gonna let him go that easily, why did you say no to begin with? Like, if you fold like a fucking like a cheap suit, why even have those principles to start with?
Exactly. It's because, I mean, I'm glad that there was conflict within this movie, but you shouldn't have resolved it so fast. You could have just let it stew a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, those scenes taking it back to that kids driving the car scene, you could have swapped that out with some character development. This is one of the unnecessary scenes. I get that, yeah, they're trying to establish a bond with the sheriff and the kids in the scene, but you didn't have to do it there.
Yeah.
That was already established within the movie already, with the montages and whatnot, right? Them winning the games and stuff. So you could have just used that for character development. It would have made it for a way better movie. You just didn't need a whole lot of scenes in this movie, man. And
they could have literally done like.
And the movie's not that long.
But you know what's funny is this movie spends so much time with the kids on the soccer field, and when they're on the field, it's running. They're running around, so there's no discussion. There's no exposition being done. Like you say, there's no character development, so you don't get any of that. Where you take a movie like The Sandlot or even The Mighty Ducks, a lot of the time they spend on the field or on the ice or whatever is done in montages.
Yeah. The only real lengthy time you get on like the sports side of those movies are like the first game and the final game.
Yeah. Everything else in between is a montage because they use the rest of the time for them to show situations, conflicts, how they can resolve them, how they can get along with one another. Like,
exactly. But they chose not to do any of that in this one.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you, man. Ugh. Yeah, this, when I was a kid, this was on top of the sports kid movies, and now this is bottom. This is bottom of the barrel for me. I don't think I'll ever watch this again.
Oh, I don't think so either.
I don't think I'll ever watch this, which just sucks, man. But hey, it's one of those things. It honestly reminds me of when, and it's the only other time I felt like this, is when I went back and watched the original Mighty Morphin Power Ranger episodes.
Can't do it.
Growing up, that was life to me. Were those damn Rangers. Everything had to be Rangers. And, fast forward 20 some odd years, 20, 30 some odd years, rewatching it, I kind of ruined it for myself.
I wonder why.
I thought, hey, why not? It's on Netflix. It was on Netflix for a while. Let me see if I'll have those same nostalgic feeling. No. No, 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 no. Don't know what I was thinking. You have to be a kid to I guess to enjoy it, which is fine. But
so
yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that about Power Rangers. So when I was a kid, I was the same way. I loved the Power Rangers, everything about them. And when I first got Netflix, the very first thing I watched, and I'll never forget this, I logged in, kind of was looking at what they had available to be able to watch, and they had Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and I was like, sold. I'm putting that on. We're gonna have a good old day.
Oh no,
dude! I don't think I made 20. I don't think I made it 20 seconds.
20 seconds.
And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm pretty sure I watched Rita Repulsa emerge from her little tunnel Mario tube thing on the moon, and I went, I
mean, well, I always knew that was cheesy as a kid. I think for me, it was just them in their suits fighting the little putty things. When you're a kid, for some reason, you put it in your head as like this the greatest thing, and graphics are amazing, and then you rewatch it and you realize why your parents
My parents could never understand it. They're like, how do you watch?
No.
They'd pull me and my brother and be like, how do you guys watch this nonsense? And we're like, it's not nonsense, it's great.
Exactly. I owe my parents an apology for forcing this.
I mean, I will say
watch this with me.
My mother used to ask the same question to me about wrestling, and as somebody who still to this day watches wrestling, I didn't grow out of that one, but that something like that's never been reliant on special effects or stuff like that.
Oh no.
But yeah, this I don't.
Yeah.
After watching this, a part of me wants to watch a lot of the movies I did as a kid, and then another part of me is terrified because I'm like, what if it does ruin all of them?
I don't think it ruins all of them because I've rewatched quite a few of my childhood favorite movies, and it hasn't.
Like, yeah, I guess I recently rewatched Little Giants and still loved it.
Yeah, I've rewatched Three Ninjas and I loved it still.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, I mean, it's a product of its time. you do have to consider that. Eh, but I enjoyed it as in a different way as a kid, but I still enjoy it. I'll never talk bad about that movie. I will roast it, but I'll never talk bad about it.
I will say, I think a lot of the stuff with those movies, like this movie, is just straight up bad.
This one is bad, just
but
bad.
like something
just
like
bad.
Three Ninjas, it's like if we had never watched it as kids and didn't have that attachment to it, I'm pretty sure we could watch it now and be like, this is terrible. But we have
But
that in the,
even yeah, I mean yeah.
the nostalgia helps a lot. The nostalgia does not help with this film.
No. And those movies, there's still some charm to it that, that you can grab onto, and as as well as your nostalgic loving for those movies. This one had nothing. This had no charm at
No.
all. And yeah, it just left a bad taste in my mouth overall. And I can't even recommend this
Well, here's
to
more
like
part.
a kid, because I don't think a kid even now would, because I could recommend like a Mighty Ducks or a Little Giants
Dude, I would recommend
to
it.
a child of today, right? But little no
Okay, I gotta bring this up
big green.
just because it's going on screen right now as I have the movie on. This movie goes from the team goes, they play their first two games, they lose both. Now I do have a note here that says in the second game, which is Juan's first game, they mentioned they want to use Juan as a decoy. Like they're gonna put him out there and make everybody think that we're gonna pass it to them, and they make it seem like it's this huge revelation. It's like, no, that's just strategy in terms of sports. Like you,
Called a play.
you guys are acting like you've come up with this brilliant masterful scheme. It's like, no, that's just a strategy. That's all. That's basic strategy of sports.
Right? And like we don't exactly. We don't see these kids practicing their like foot handles or
Nothing.
actually literal skills that someone that grew up around soccer, that knows soccer, should have been teaching. This is why I feel like if they would have leaned in more of the female being the coach and showing her as a great coach, showing these kids skills, it would have made for a way better movie. This movie definitely has the potential of being way better than it is, man. And again, I think the blame 100% goes to the director slash writer. And yeah, man, that's the only person I'm blaming.
Yeah.
For this
I would have to agree because the actors just did what they were told. You would
it
assume.
feels like that. It definitely because we've seen these actors, at least the ones that we've seen in other things, are better in other projects.
Yeah.
So the fault definitely is the director on this one, unfortunately.
But after that second game that I was talking about when they were using him as a diversion, this movie goes completely nonsensical, in my opinion. Now, what they do is it shows those first two games. They now for in case you're wondering, they lose both of those first two games. We then go into a montage of them getting some. Now, this town, nobody in this town has money. Nobody has anything. Somehow, these kids get. Now, they show the teacher and the one parent making them jerseys, but then somehow they get new cleats, new shin guards, new equipment. I don't know I don't know where that money comes from, what any of that, but you basically go for those two games, and then you go right into their quote unquote practicing, and by practicing I mean kicking a ball and chasing it with all the parents watching, and it starts to downpour. Then we get the fucking...
Oh, yeah.
the schoolyard playing in the rain and the mud, which lasts for about 3 minutes, which, again, you could have had that last 15 seconds and then use the rest of the time for character development, but...
Or at least maybe 1 minute. Like, I get what they were trying to do in this scene. And, I mean, yeah, again, like everything else in this movie, poorly executed. It just came off as, like, very just cheesy, a bit cringy.
Ninjas.
But
that was the one. Ninjas, that was the one we missed.
What?
Of the things the goalie sees.
And
sorry, I just kind of broke in with that.
No, it's okay. I understood what they were going for in that scene.
Yeah, it's a cute little fun scene it's supposed to be endearing.
Yeah. It's supposed to, everyone's bonding, the parents and the kids and whatnot, but it just came across as super cringy and cheesy as shit.
Well, that's another note that I have here. It's a tiny school with, what did we say, 11 kids in the entire class.
Mm-hmm.
Start a soccer team, and all of a sudden, this entire fucking town is obsessed with soccer. Like, it shows after that mud game practice thing, it literally shows a camera pans across a bar, and it's all these 40-year-old white guys reading soccer magazines and talking strategy with the coach.
Yeah, not a whole lot of explanation going on there, or like,
I get that typically Texas does like that type of stuff with football, but that's like okay, and maybe I get that with like high school football. These kids are like 12 years old, and this entire town is obsessed. Like, I'm pretty sure near the end of the movie when they get, spoiler alert, to the fucking the championship game, I'm pretty sure there's a sign somewhere at a store or something that says like closed for soccer game or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, these is fucking 12-year-old kids playing soccer. The entire town wouldn't go crazy like this. Their parents might, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go that route, at least build up with it, just have the characters mention these things and having the town more in the story so it's believable. But just to have it out of nowhere, them being obsessed, and it just didn't feel organic, so it felt out of place. You didn't sell it to us, so it was ill placed. It wasn't earned.
Yeah, I agree. It's so weird.
Yeah, I mean,
I forgot about this. Again, like I said, I've got it on. The animated soccer ball bouncing across the ground to show the record. I completely forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. Same. Yeah, just again, a movie that had a lot of potential. That's what I seen, and
they could have modeled this after like the successful movies. Like, they could have modeled this after a movie like The Mighty Ducks, and they probably would have done a lot better.
Oh yeah. Again, when it comes down to it, you can only blame one person, because if given this movie to even just a couple notches better of a competent writer / director, this would be right up there with all the other underdog sports kids movies of the 90s.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is probably, undoubtedly the worst. Which hurts me. It hurts my childhood to say that.
So I liked this movie as a kid. I don't think I ever really put that much stock into it, as it wasn't near the top for me in terms of whether it be movies as a kid or kids sports movies. But it was never near the top. I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but it just...
I just put it up top because I just rewatched it a lot as a kid.
See, mine were more baseball, but then again, that's probably because I played baseball.
For sure. I enjoyed quite a few baseball kids movies back then too, but I don't know why this movie had such a hold on me as a kid, to be honest.
Neither do I.
I own the other ones too, but for some reason this one got replayed a little bit more. Honestly, my only conclusion is I was such an annoying kid, and the kids in this movie are so annoying. This movie is so annoying that it just complemented each other. I just liked it because I was such an annoying kid and it's such an annoying movie. It was a perfect pairing at the time.
It's like, hey, if they can succeed, maybe I can too.
Because I think I liked a lot of the annoying kid stuff in this movie because I was just a wild ass kid. And I didn't care for any plot. That was the last thing I was caring about as a kid. So any of the negatives I have for this movie now wasn't a negative as a kid.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's a lot different to watch this stuff as an adult and interpret it.
Oh, of course. But even as a yeah. For some reason, this one was something that I can't. I don't have a logical explanation as to why I was such a fan of this. But I'm glad I rewatched it because now I know never to watch it again.
No.
I can leave this movie back in the 90s where I found it.
It even kind of hurts me now, like watching it, even with the sound off right now as we're talking.
Yeah, because I don't have any kids, but I do have a lot of nieces and nephews. You have children, and there's movies that I would like to watch with them that I grew up with. It's those type of moments that especially if they end up enjoying it too.
Yeah,
it's very memorable.
Well, I will say,
I would not with this one.
If it helps,
the Disney is off the list.
The Disney and Pixar animated movies have been a pretty good success. They still hold up pretty well.
Yeah, I rewatched 101 Dalmatians because
great movie.
I forgot. I didn't even realize that. I thought, honestly, that the dog had 101 puppies.
What?
Yeah. That's right. I thought I thought she had a pregnant with all those puppies and delivered all those puppies. I didn't know it was just 15.
That would be the shortest movie ever. It's like, oh, pregnancy's over. She gave birth to 100 puppies. The end.
But the whole Cruella de Vil wanting the puppies, I didn't know there was more puppies that she had. I didn't know that shit. I just thought the dog had 101 puppies, and then Cruella de Vil wanted the puppies so she could make a coat. But so I had to rewatch it to, because I still didn't believe it. But yeah, no, it's true, and that didn't hurt the movie for me. I still rather enjoyed it, actually. It's very cute.
Yeah, I like 101 Dalmatians. I don't think that I don't think I've watched a movie yet with the kids that hasn't held up for me. Jungle Book wasn't great, but it was still enjoyable enough.
And the thing about Jungle Book, there's so many 90s and early 2000 like I guess adaptations from like other studios that my favorite growing up is probably different from your favorite growing up when it comes to the Jungle Book. Because I liked the
I know
the one in the 90s with Jason Scott Lee.
I knew you were going to say that one.
That one was great.
I grew up watching that one too.
Right? So whenever I think of that movie, I think typically of that one. There's one that came out in the early 2000s starring the kid from Johnny Tsunami. I don't know if you remember Johnny Tsunami. He starred in a Jungle Book movie, which was actually pretty good.
No, I've never seen that. I've only ever seen, like you said, the Jason Scott Lee one, the original, and then the new live action one that Disney made, which I actually enjoyed the new live action one.
Mm-hmm. Out of the live action remix, that one was
that one's in the upper tier, in my opinion, of the ones that they've done.
Yeah.
Especially to see. I liked Christopher Walken as King Louie,
which was a pretty big change.
Oh,
At least in energy of character. I know the Disney King Louie is very much different, but it was okay. It's Christopher Walken, so he can never do wrong in my eyes.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fucking with all the montages now being over in this movie, we are at the point where Juan and his mother have been outed as illegals, and they've basically now
Who outed them? Who was the person that outed them?
Steve Guttenberg.
Wasn't it? Oh, I thought it was the father of
yeah. So that's all. That's very ambiguous whether it's him or the coach from the other team, because he comes and shows up at the bar. And
maybe they teamed up. It seemed like a team up thing too.
Yeah, because he kind of looks over at him, and it's Kate's dad is the guy you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Is he looks over and he's like, "Oh, can I buy you your next drink?" And they kind of share a little smirk at one another.
Yeah.
And then the next scene is Steve Guttenberg going to like the sheriff's office, and his boss is like, "Yeah, I gotta go. I need you to go round up some these illegals." And he's like, "Morales, this kid's on my team. Like, I can't do that."
Yeah. Which, again, okay. This is some good conflict. Okay. I like this. This is where it's going. Especially with, because when Angry Girl, I'm going to reference her as that, she finds out that it was her father that was responsible for the Juan and his mother being discovered. They have this, argument, which is okay. That's some good conflict.
Yeah, she just storms out and runs away.
And it's throughout the scenes with the father, it's kind of blatantly obvious that he is suffering from, substance abuse, alcoholism.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's pretty easy to have their argument, you could tell that, he kind of feels bad a little bit. But it's like the next scene, he's completely sober, dried up. He's a clean-cut person. He looks like almost a different actor.
When he shows up at the game, yeah. It looks like he just took a nice shower, had a haircut.
There was no, it was so quickly resolved, and it's such a shame because that could have been something that could have elevated this movie, and they just fell right on their face. They just didn't care about actually letting the conflict get some good quality of movie out of it. They just, brushed it aside for more hijinks and terrible montages.
Well, yeah, because then as soon as the discussion that Guttenberg has with them, he leaves, and then Kate sees it, and she goes and tells the school, like the kids at school, and they just run over there, and they're already gone. So he is now basically out of this movie as well, Guttenberg, because he's now searching for them. Like he wants to bring them back and this and that. And then meantime, we have the championship game is starting, and the Big Green is now down their star player because of this whole conflict. And again, you get some nice typical 90s sexism because the fucking coach comes over and he's like, oh yeah, so we always have a little bet in these games, but I couldn't take your money, but I wouldn't say no to a kiss. Like, what?
Okay. I mean, it's the 90s, different time.
My question is, in any movie where they've done something like this, where did he think that was going to go? Like, does he think that she's going to kiss him and then be like, oh my God, I'm in love. Like, now I want him. And no, like it's.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's how it works in that world, right? You get a kiss and now you guys are married.
Another thing about J.O. Sanders as the coach of these Knights we haven't talked about is he coaches these games while carrying around a goddamn sword.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and he's like spinning it around and...
Yeah, that's what coaches do. They take the team name so serious that they bring weapons around children.
I will say one of the notes I wrote about this final game is I get very strong vibes of D2.
Exactly. Well, yeah, with the shootout, right?
No, well, no, not even that. I didn't even do that. But even at the beginning of the game, because now in D2 they get the new uniforms before the third period. But
it is a lot like D2.
The Big Green, they get the new fancy uniforms.
Yeah.
And then the team that they're playing is black and silver, and
it's also the team that they lost to in their first game.
Exactly.
Much like D2.
Exactly. There's a lot of parallels there. However, one movie did it clearly better.
I don't know.
It's not this one.
I don't know. I have to rewatch D2 now. That shit is up for contention now. I don't know how I feel about that one. And that one was right up there with this movie as my favorite 90s sports movie. I think these two were like neck and neck. I was rewatching both of them like crazy. I don't know if that movie is any good now. I have to rewatch it.
I always preferred D2 to the first one.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think I watched D2 first. That's probably...
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that's probably why I like it more.
See, the reason I like it more is because the first one has that fucking annoying Tommy kid with the leather jacket who is like 3 feet tall and thinks he's fucking Joe Pesci.
The D2 has a lot of, from what I remember, a lot of things kids around my age at the time, not too little of a kid, getting a little bit older into the preteen. There's a lot of things I liked.
I will say
because I was at that sweet spot.
I will say, looking back at what was going on in D2, to me, one of the funniest things is so that they go to the games. They're in California.
Yes, sir.
And they end up going. They end up going to fucking South Central to play a pickup roller hockey game.
Hey! You acting like that would never happen in the hood.
You know it wouldn't.
And you'd be right. You'd be right. I mean, God. Maybe I mean, maybe, but the chances, especially in the 90s when basketball and baseball were so popular, and the fact that you need so much equipment for hockey, even rollerblade hockey, and the fact that they were wearing so much equipment and they're supposed to be from the inner city. No. I'm not buying that. But it was cool. Hey, you got the knuckle puck, all right? Got the knuckle puck, bruh.
Do you have any idea how many times I used that or tried it? I should say.
Dude, if I have a stick and a puck, I'm at least attempting it once.
And it doesn't work. It takes forever to set up.
It does, because it's not gonna stand up the first time. It's like the fourth, fifth time.
By that time, you've taken an elbow to the head, and the other team has already scored on your goal.
And even if you did, it's not like the movie where it's like maintains its momentum, almost builds more momentum as it's going. Nah. But it was one of the first examples of false expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the most. Yeah, it was definitely one of the first experiences where I was like, "This movies isn't real life."
No, not even close.
Nah, yeah, damn you, knuckle puck.
So I found it really funny with this last game that they're playing in this championship. It's throughout the whole movie they talk about like, oh yeah, we're a team, we're this, we're that, and yet now all of a sudden they lose one player and they don't stand a chance.
I mean, with a lot of sports, morale. Underdog, yeah, with a lot of, when you really pay attention to a lot of underdog sports movies, that's kind of the trope. The one glue player that holds the team together. Usually something happens and yeah, that final game, they're kind of instantly crap up until, the person comes back.
Which he does. Spoiler.
Yeah. Which comes negates, which again, another side plot of the movie, which if they would have introduced it a little bit early and built towards it, that moment would have paid off a lot more. But it goes from running away from being, discovered as an illegal immigrant to now Steve Guttenberg is sponsoring this family.
Yeah,
and now so everything's good. Yeah. Now everything's good. Everything's fine. It just didn't. It just it makes no sense. Negates everything. It was just it was.
It's a quick fix. It's a quick fix and it's permanent.
I mean, I feel nothing towards this, but okay, all right.
But that's what it is. It's a quick fix and it's permanent, and it's like now you don't have to worry about what's going to happen after the movie.
And you said it perfectly about this movie. This movie's hollow, and a lot of the side plots and a lot of the moments of this movie feel hollow, and that is a clear example, just a hollow moment in a hollow movie.
Well, here's another thing with this is that they didn't really flesh out is apparently fucking this Juan guy and Kate, the angry girl as you call her, are apparently they're in love with each other at like 12 years old.
Well, it's hinted throughout the movie that she kind of thinks he's cute or has a crush on him, but
dude, this is really this is the fucking horniest movie. Like, Steve Guttenberg was doing everything he can to get in the teacher's pants, and then when Juan shows back up, she says something about Kate goes, "Oh, you didn't say goodbye. Next time you go, at least say goodbye." And he goes, "Next time I go, I'll just take you with me." I'm like, dude, you are 12.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. I mean, this isn't. You're right. I guess. Yeah. No. The dialogue wasn't necessary for children.
Even if they were adults, that line would be weird. But at least at that point, it's like, okay, if that was the case, you guys can make your own decisions. But like, you are 12 years old.
Or you could have had them hook up earlier in the movie, had that be a thing for a little bit, and and then have that whole conflict, right?
Or even have a scene
and
like
then that would have made that conversation make more sense. But
even have a scene like they do in Little Giants with Icebox and Junior, when they're sitting on the boat, when they're talking about like kissing, but there's that tension between that. You can tell that the two of them like each other, and this movie, it's just like sideways glances at one another and him assisting her on scoring a couple goals. That's like the entirety of their relationship.
Yeah, like this movie has so many setups and zero follow through. Yeah.
This movie is all sizzle, no steak.
Which is unfortunate because,
the steak is the best part.
And it had right, and this movie has the potential to be, a very good film, man, for a 90s kids movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, man. I can only blame the person behind giving the direction in this movie, man. She makes sense that she doesn't have a whole lot of credits under her name.
0. This is her only directing credit.
It's understandable. It makes sense. I'm glad that she only directed this movie, because you shouldn't be given any other chances after this.
No.
Damn it, man. I was going to get a t-shirt with the big green on it. Fuck, I ain't never doing. No, I ain't buying that. I'm canceling. That's out of my cart now.
Yeah, this
movie angered me.
I really thought that I was really going to enjoy it, and then within the first couple of minutes I went, this is going to be a long, because this, like, the runtime of this movie is an hour and 40 minutes.
In today's standard, that is a super short movie.
Yeah, but at the time, that was a pretty damn good length, a decent length for especially a kids movie.
For a kids movie,
I remember they were usually 80 to 90 minutes max.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, this was a tad bit longer than the average. Especially, this was released in theaters, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it shouldn't have. I would have forgiven this a little bit more if it was straight to DVD or straight to VHS.
Dude, I'm gonna give you a hot take. Now, again, it's been a long time since I've seen this movie too, but I'd be willing to bet that there is a better kids soccer movie that I'd be willing to bet you've never seen.
Is it a Disney original?
It's a Mary-Kate and Ashley movie.
Oh, it's one of their like Mary-Kate collection.
Dude, it's called Switching Goals.
I've seen a bunch of those, but I don't remember.
If I remember correctly, I feel like it's almost like a Parent Trap type situation where they play twins who like switch places. Like one's really sporty, one's not, and then they like join two different soccer teams. I don't remember exactly, but dude, I would probably be more than willing to watch that than this again.
That's probably a better movie, man. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, they were making hits back then with those straight to VHS movies.
And that's one of the ones I owned as well.
Yeah. This does not sell soccer at all to kids, man. Like, this is... Damn. This is probably one of the reasons why kids didn't even like soccer.
And I played soccer I played soccer in grade school as a kid. I was a goalie.
I was goalie for a little bit too, mainly because of this movie. Yeah, man, that's my favorite position is the goalie. And whenever I play soccer, I'm typically the goalie.
Yeah. Well, so am I, but that's because I don't like to run.
I just like to fucking get in the line of fire of that ball. But yeah, yeah, man. When I was a kid, this definitely was a driving force in me liking soccer. But again, I just think I was a weird kid. I think I was a weird kid. And my interests were weird. Dude, this movie is making me question so many things in my childhood, man.
Yeah.
Can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I feel the same way, but now, like you said, we get to the D2 Mighty Duck-esque shootout to end the game, which,
yeah.
Spoiler alert, can anybody guess who wins? It's the Big Green, of course. It's a Disney movie. Of course they're going to win.
Absolutely. It's the underdog. And, yeah.
And they win on the back of Larry, their goalie, like we said before, fighting back against these monsters that he sees and becoming a fucking amalgamation of everything that he's seen before, which looks so fucking stupid.
It's okay. Again, I mean, at least he got some type of character development in this movie.
What I don't get in it
and
is...
if they would have dressed him in a better outfit and executed it a little bit better, it wouldn't have been as corny. Because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know that he was wearing all the team stuff. Even when I was watching as a kid, I didn't know. I just thought he was just. I didn't even know what he was wearing. I just thought he was just okay. Now he's just a confident George Washington fellow. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought he just looked ridiculous. But upon this rewatch, I noticed that he's wearing items from all of the previous.
I didn't catch that.
And we missed a bunch of them. There were a bunch in that montage. There was the Walking Dead, Vikings, ninjas. So yeah, they win, and the final goal is scored by little Bug Hall playing Newt. He scores, and they win, and it's all this big celebration. And yeah, everybody's going to live happily ever after because now Juan and his mother are going to be citizens, and these kids won a district-type soccer championship, and they get their picture put on a billboard like they had referenced earlier in the movie because Steve Guttenberg was on a billboard from when he played football. And it's your typical 90s happy ending. Everybody lives happily ever after.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Just very underwhelming for me. But going back to like we were saying with Larry with this shootout, when it shows him as that monster, it then shows the face of the kid who's kicking against him. And he's actually the son of the head coach of the Knights team. And it's like he goes to kick, and then he notices. It's almost like the kid notices Larry is dressed like this, and the kid then gets scared. I'm like, so is everybody a part of these visions, or is this
right?
I don't get how this works.
Why would his vision
affect this kid?
That kid wearing all the stuff that he was visioning about the other teams. It would have been something like a big green monster or something. If you're going by that logic, then if we're seeing it through the other kid's eyes, it should have been their mascot, the big green. It should have been like a maybe a big green goat or something.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. It was like
it would have made more. Yeah.
Are you positing that these these kids are all in the same fantasy world headspace. Yeah, so I'm at a complete loss for this movie, and I don't really know what else to even say, to be honest.
Me and my childhood, my 8-year-old self or 10-year-old self, I need to talk to that dude. I gotta tell this person, look, no more of this movie. No more. This is delete this from your nostalgia. Just leave. I'm gonna just leave it there. I'm not even gonna delete it. I'm just gonna leave it in my childhood and never think about it again.
I think that might be for the best.
And that's okay, because not everything that you watched as a kid, you're gonna like, as an adult. That's just how it works. But the fact that I liked it so much as a kid, and as an adult, I couldn't care less for it. It's an eye opener, man. It puts things in perspective for me.
Yeah. So I think, like I said, I'm done. I don't need to talk about this movie anymore.
No,
I'm okay to move on to closing thoughts.
I'm ready for the next review, to be honest. But
that's fine with me. Like I said, my closing thoughts are pretty much, I loved this movie as a kid. I don't even know what else to say about it now. It is not good. It is hard to watch. I would not recommend this to anybody. Avoid it at all costs if you can, and I wouldn't even show this to your children.
And anybody.
And if you do, press play and leave the room.
Yeah. I'm putting a warning out. If you liked this movie as a kid, you really enjoyed it. It was one of your, movies that we watched. I beg of you, do not rewatch this movie as an adult.
And you know what? I have no issue if somebody likes this movie. None at all.
No, I don't.
One of my favorite podcasts that I listen to, We Hate Movies, they have a say. One of the guys on there has a saying on there that it's okay to like a movie, and it absolutely is.
No, yeah, absolutely.
I just will not be watching this again.
Yeah, there's so many movies that I like that most people do not. It's just, for this one, I have to agree with the people that do not like this one. Because I did not find any reason to revisit this in the future. I'm going to rest this movie back in 1995. Was it 1995?
Yeah.
When I first watched it. But again, if you still like this movie, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just I'm not there. I'm not there anymore. I have to move on. And yeah, I have nothing else to say. Nothing else to say.
Yeah, neither do I, except I'll just we usually give these movies ratings, so on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving this a 2.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's a big fat 2.
Because I mean, you got to give it something at least, because it's still a movie that got made, which is an accomplishment in and of itself.
I guess, yeah.
But no, avoid this movie at all costs if you can.
Yep.
So yeah, we both rated it 2. That's interesting. It doesn't surprise me though, considering how awful this is. And I really, honestly, coming into this, knowing how much nostalgia you had for it, and you had suggested we watch this, and I really thought I was going to come into this and I was going to kind of be ragging on it, and you were going to defend it. And
no, I was ready to defend it if you could defend it. You can't defend this shit. You can't defend it.
No. And it even doesn't help that the movie ends with fucking J.O. Sanders kissing a goat.
Right? It's like, sure. They had to put that in there, right?
That was the bet. If he won,
Yeah.
he could kiss her, and if they lost, he had to kiss the goat. I think that's going to wrap up our discussion for this week on the Big Green, and I'll just say that if you guys out there listening want to watch this movie, I would move forward very cautiously. But if you do watch it and you like it, let us know. I mean, I'd like to know what people think about this movie and who actually enjoy it. But that's going to be the end of our discussion on this. And so we'll be back next week. And for next week, we are going, I believe this is going to be our first 80s action movie. We are going to delve into a movie starring the late, great Carl Weathers. We're going to do Action Jackson, which is a movie I have never seen, but I've been told
underrated.
I've been told that it is a pretty typical 80s action movie, and myself being a huge fan of movies like that, I'm looking forward to it. And I'm excited to watch it. Because I also looked up, so
I guarantee
it's Carl Weathers,
like
and did I read correctly? Craig T. Nelson is the villain.
I think so.
Whew.
I've seen it, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he was the villain.
Well, I do love me some Craig T. Nelson, so that makes me very excited for this movie. But yeah, so join us next week as we discuss that, and as usual, you guys can follow us on any of our socials, which I will be putting in the show notes when this episode is posted. And or if you don't want to follow us on our socials and you want to get a hold of us, shoot us an email. I will also be putting our email in the show notes as well. Let us know what you guys think or what you guys might want to hear of in the future. So I think that's going to do it for this week. And we will talk to you guys next week. Take it easy.
Peace.